Hello, day two. I say day two. I mean, this is now pushing into day three. Um, it's still going to be day two for the sake of YouTube consistency. Every new video each day is going to be day whatever the fuck. So tomorrow it'll be day three, then day four, etc. This is just a quick update. I'm not really going to show any gameplay here for this. This is just going to be spitballing an idea or two based on a few things that I've come across with the new vampiric system for season 2. I kind of hate the fact that they are going to take this out when season 3 rolls, so you only get to experiment with this for a few months. Because obviously they've removed season 1 content. I don't know why, because I'm not seeing it anywhere else. They must have changed it, right? They must have removed it out of the game. I've been watching a few streamers and it doesn't seem to be in the game at all now. I don't know why they've done that. I'd prefer it if it was the sort of Path of Exiles thing where they weaken it but they still keep the season in the game. Maybe they'll do like a season extravaganza and put all the seasons together at one point. Who knows? But in terms of that particular content for the character itself, in terms of the rings and everything, I've just gone back to obviously using armor instead of socketing in the weird fucking things that drop. I guess it could be a little bit overwhelming, but at the same time, this game needs more content, and I don't know why they would take content away. Right? If I'm wrong on this, tell me. I've only been watching like a couple of streamers, and as far as I can tell, none of season 1 is in the game anymore. I actually quite liked the sockets. I actually quite liked putting stuff into these things, and you got additional things that happened with your stuff. It's so annoying. This game needs more content. I don't know why they would remove it, is what I'm getting at. But still, from what I can tell with this, it's entirely passive based. You just play the game, level it up. You don't need to go out of your way to do special quests or anything like that. You just get it from the get-go. Even after you skip the story, you don't have to do anything special to get it. But the limiting factor is, because I haven't really learned how to do this yet, is how to get the items. Now, I did have some, but I've used them, where you could sock it in, where it says Pacts Grant, and each item can have up to 5 things that it grants. And these can stack, and the collective value is what you can use. So, for instance, with this, it only needs 1 skull. I've got 3 skulls. So, there you go, 1 skull. No, sorry, I've only got 1 skull. I think the yellow is the value of what I have, and the white is what I'm using. Right? Either way. The chalice, I haven't found any chalices at all. The game seems to not want to give me chalices. I have to get it on gear. As you can see here, I've got 1 chalice here, and I've got 1 chalice here. There's quite a few things that do need chalices. Like, for instance, there's this one that needs 3, but I'm already using 2. So I need 5 chalices to be able to use Call Familiar as well as the other ability that needs chalices. Which one is it? This one. What I've chosen so far is based purely on what I have on my gear. It's not really chosen for any specific purpose or need. Like I said, as you're leveling up, you're going to be rapidly changing your gear and building this whilst you're still trying to level up. This again feels like endgame content where the game doesn't want you experimenting with this until after level 50, which obviously means don't skip the story. So it feels like it's more content that is only best suited for end game purposes, which is really annoying that they've done it that way, but whatever. They're learning. I will admit that I actually do like this system. This is actually quite a nice system. It's entirely passive based, and it encourages you to go out and do the content, because the content gives you, you know, the stuff that you need to be able to use it. It gives you the, like, it gives you a reason to farm gear, for instance. I like that. I like that this system requires you to go out of your way to farm gear, not to farm levels or XP, but gear, so that you can actually get better stuff, so that you can use better passives, so the skulls and the crowns and the chalices. That's fantastic. I like that. So what I've chose at the moment is the Undying, which just gives me life. This is fantastic. I like how this is just given to you right at the beginning. So casting any skill heals you for 1.5% of your life. And if you get a crap ton of cooldown reduction and you just spam abilities, every time you activate one, gives you 1.5% life. That's a lot of, in terms of like keeping you alive, extra layers of defense, because obviously they've had to reevaluate the entirety of the game in terms of its armor defense, in terms of the resistance defense, and I guess they are trying to sort of counterbalance that with some form of life steal, but it's not technically life steal, it's life gain. It's a bit strange. I don't know. I quite like it. I think it's a good way of doing it. So instead of like panicking constantly because you've ran out of potions or whatever, as long as you could just run around the room and spam some abilities, you get your life back, which is fantastic. Bit of sustain. The minions deal increased damage. I'm going to be doing as much of this as possible. Crowd controlled enemies. This is slow. So this, as long as Hurricane is active, and as long as the enemies are affected by the slow, which they will be if they're within range of Hurricane, this just gives my minions, or well, my companions, I should say, for Druid, an extra sort of bump for damage, which is really nice. There's a lucky hit as well. I'm not really concentrating on lucky hit. I'm not going to do lucky hit at all this build. Increased damage to vulnerable enemies. Enemies, they become vulnerable while affected by a vampiric curse. I don't really know. I guess it's like these two work together, because if I do lucky hit, I get the vampiric curse, which then makes them vulnerable, which is really nice. I'm going to have to play with this and maybe look into getting a little bit of lucky hit, but I'm not building lucky hit. I don't like lucky hit. I think it's a terrible fucking thing, but whatever. Increased damage to enemies that are stunned, immobilized, frozen, or feared. Great thing about this is that because I'm spamming Earth Spike has a 10% chance, a flat 10% chance to stun enemies for 2.5 seconds. So this will just basically allow me to do far more damage to enemies that are stunned. And the great thing about that as well is that at the moment I'm just using Fortify because I need it for the maximum life, for the Fortify effect of extra layers of defense. But I'll be swapping that out to, when you hit a target that's stunned, summon another Earth Spike to do damage. So this will be triggering twice, which allows me to get 2 Earth Spikes off per hit. It's just a flat extra damage. It's going to be fantastic. As you saw in previous videos, if you are still here from those other videos, I apologize that I stopped uploading and I appeared to stop caring. When Blizzard themselves actually make a public apology because of how bad Season 1 was and how, like, shittily received it was, when they themselves make an apology, you know you're in the right when you say that it was bad, right? I'm glad that I stopped playing. I wasn't willing to give my time, energy, or efforts to a game that was in a bad place. This is a step in the right direction. And I hope that some form of this moves over to Season 3. But we'll see, obviously. So yeah, they're going to be stunned, mobilized, frozen, or feared. There is a way to make enemies feared using this system, so I can make them stunned and feared. At the moment, I'm just, you know, socketing whatever because of My gear just being randomly updated or whatever. Hitting enemies with direct damage inflicts them with pox. I don't really care for this. It's poison damage. I've just put it in because I can. I can use it. It's only 1 crown, so it sort of levels out. But obviously, I want to be using other things. The one thing that I actually want to be using is this, and it needs 6 fucking crowns. Hitting an enemy with a basic skill grants you 4% stacking, 4% attack speed for 10 seconds, and it goes up to 5 times, 4 times 5. So you get a huge amount of attack speed. But when you get to full stacks, you still get to keep that attack speed, but you also then get 80%, which is a multiplier, added on to your basic skill damage. And you also get the increased movement speed as well, so you can reposition. That is insane. This is going to be really fucking good for my build, because I am going to go companion auto attack. I'm still going to go as much companion damage as possible. I haven't really looked into what they've done for companions. Apparently they have given them a lot more damage for Season 2. I don't really know. It does feel like they are doing damage, and it does actually... I said this from day one, that I think that things like the gain 1 additional companion is completely useless. Still accurate. I don't know in terms of what kind of damage values they've changed, but I could give you an example of what I mean. Let's just say instead of 96 to 117, let's just say that the damage is 100. It's 100 damage. That 100 damage is shared between all companions. So it's 100 divided by 3. So they're doing 33 damage each. Oh, got something stuck. So it's a little bit misleading, because it makes it look like it's the you know, like each wolf are doing 100 damage. This is not true. That actual damage value is shared between all 3. What this means is that every time you add a companion, the damage gets reduced per companion. So it's shared by 3, and then it's going to be shared by 4 if you manage to get another companion. And when I say companion, I mean specifically wolves. So if I get 4 wolves, it's 100 divided by 4. So they do 25 damage each. I don't know why they've done it that way, because this also means that the active is also in the same boat. When a wolf gets the damage active modifier to it, it leaps to the enemy, but it only leaps and hits the enemy for half the damage. So again, let's just say that it hits for 1,200 damage. Each, if I only had 2 companions, each wolf... When I say companion, just presume I mean wolf. When I say companion, wolf. Each wolf will only be doing 600 damage. So the 2 wolves will jump forward, land on the enemy, but if one wolf for some reason missed the target because the target moved, or, you know, just wasn't aligned properly, or where the wolf jumped in the wrong direction, that damage is lost. So instead of hitting the target for each wolf doing 1,200 damage, 1,200 damage, it's 600 damage, 600 damage. So the more companions that you have, the more likely, and I'm being serious, that the companion will either miss or, you know, whatever. So what you have to understand now, that 1,200 is now shared by 3, because I've got 3 wolves. So each leap is only doing 400 damage, meaning that in a crowd situation, when the wolf jumps, it could miss the target, and you've just missed 400 damage. That's a lot of damage to be missing, right? Single target, it doesn't seem to matter. The wolves do land, so like it still is quite powerful against like bosses and things like that, or strong elites that try to run at you because they typically don't have many enemies that spawn around them. But in terms of like trying to clear a room, spamming wolves in some cases is bad because when they leap, they miss, and it's just like you've just lost damage. I don't know why they've done it that way. I really don't. I said this last time that this needed to be changed. That they needed to make this more clear to what it actually does. I think what they should have done is that they should have said per wolf. So it says bite enemies for X damage per wolf. And then that damage actually shows you the key value of what each wolf is doing per bite. Whereas at the moment, you just have to look at it, take the average, and then divide it by how many wolves you've got, which is so misfucking leading. Like, you wouldn't know that that was actually the case, but that is the case. Again, the tooltips in this game are still obnoxiously shit. I don't know if Blizzard are ever actually going to learn that lesson when it comes to the tooltips in this game. Because they clearly don't know how to fix the tooltips. But either way, this is a step in the right direction. What was a step in the wrong direction is the fact that they made no changes to Boulder. It's still just as shit as it's always been. They didn't change this, even though it's probably, I would define as the worst ability in the game. There's a couple of reasons why. I'm just going to go over that. If the enemy is too close to you, the boulder spawns behind them. Does no damage. So if the enemy is right in front of you and you summon a boulder, it summons, the boulder animation passes through them, but then it spawns here. So the enemy doesn't take damage. And you know this for a fact because they weren't knocked back. And because they weren't knocked back, you can tell that they wasn't damaged by the boulder. And I've noticed this way too often, where the enemy that's in front of me, especially when it comes to a boss that I'm too close to, I'm just doing no damage with boulder. It's ridiculous. They even need to increase the size of the boulder to make it, like, I'd say at least twice the size of what it currently is. Or just make the hit detection more accurate. Because at the moment it fucking misses, and I can clearly tell it's missed because the enemy in front of me doesn't fucking move. So, but either way, knocking the enemies back, and knocking them back is one thing, like just quickly knocking them back. But knocking them off screen is the most obnoxious fucking thing I have ever experienced in my life. And obviously, because of things like that, Nature's Fury is 10 times worse because of it. So, I'm not going to go boulder. Again, even though I would like to. Because they've made zero changes to the way that boulder actually works and operates as a move. It's still, I would argue, the worst skill for Druid. And I would argue, again, that it's the worst skill in the fucking game. Just flat out. I don't understand why they haven't touched this move. It is so shit. But either way. So this is the leveling build that I've gone with. Just gone for a standard Earth Spike with protection. That will be changed to Wild Earth Spike at some point in the future. We've gone for the Terremote. Just some landslide spam, so that just to spend my spirit. Probably going to grab the Wild Impulses to make it, a lot better. Just grabbing this for the sake of grabbing this. It's 10% flat non-physical damage reduction. Makes a huge difference, considering that resistances in this game actually now matter. They actually do serve a purpose. And then I've gone with the non-physical resistance here, so I'm getting 25% damage reduction from non-physical. Huge. Stacked the wolves, I'm at max, so I've got 5 plus 2. gone with Call of the Wild to try and make the wolves as powerful as possible. I've gone where when you critically strike, which I will be with this build. As an earth build, I will be doing as much crit and as much attack speed as possible. So the wolves will basically always have increased attack speed. I've gone with the 3 wolves this time round because apparently they have increased the wolf damage. And even though it does split it between the 3 targets, because the damage is overall higher, you could justify it. Whereas before, in like the beta release and season 1, the wolf damage was that low that you didn't want to be spreading it across 3 targets. I will be testing this, obviously. I can't really comment much about it. I don't really know what they've done to the actual companion damage. But apparently they have adjusted it for Season 2. I don't know what that means, but we'll see. Hurricane is just there for... I need as much cooldown reduction as possible. I am going to get 2 points here. It's 10%, which gives me an extra 1 second on the Hurricane. That doesn't sound like much, but it is. It makes a huge difference. The reason why is the extra 1 second means that I get closer to a better cooldown reduction, so that the longer it stays active, the less cooldown reduction I need, right? And we want it to be up and active as much as we can because it's constantly applying a slow. The slow obviously does not get applied to bosses. The damage dip is quite large with bosses, which is the reason why I think that wolves is going to shine. Like, as I used as the example, wolves in a group situation doesn't seem to work, but wolves against a single target does a lot of fucking damage if all 3 wolves land on the target at the same time. You just see the life get chunked. So this is going to be used for clearing. This is going to be used for bossing. We got trample because it's spirit generation. We will be using this, spamming it as much as we can. We're not really using it for the actual damage itself. We're not using it as a travel move either. We're just using it as a spam generation for spirit. Previously, you would do it with the innate blood howl. You would grab the generate spirit here. But I'm doing it through trample. The reason why I'm doing it through trample, which I actually might change at some point, is because of this. So when I use a Wrath ability, I summon a bat that does damage and has a chance to stun. That stun is very important. I can't use this currently because I don't have the chalices. In total, I need 5 chalices, and I've only got 2. So I can't use this yet, but I will be using this. This will be one of the bread and butters for the build, bat spam. Because I will be doing a lot of cooldown reduction as well, to try to level out this so that I can spam Hurricane as much as possible, that I can spam Trample. But yeah, like Trample's got a really short cooldown anyway. Let me look at that. It's really short. Down here, we've gone with Unrestrained, the control impairing effect by 9%. Triple this if you have 45 or 50%. We will be looking into ways of being able to sustain that Fortify without getting it through Earth Spike at some point. I'll look into that at some point. We're going with Natural Disaster, Defiance, you know, typical stuff. Because I am doing Earth abilities, I will be getting these. Critical Strikes with Earth Skills Fortify You. There's the Fortify. So I don't have the crit currently, but when I get better crit, this will be better. At the moment, it's obviously not, but still. So that's the build currently. I've just gone with Ursine Strength as, because like with the actual life gain when you use an ability because of the passives, I basically am at 100% life all the time, which means that I just get a flat 25% increased damage across the board. All my abilities get that, which is fantastic. And then obviously when I randomly overpower, I don't really know. Apparently overpower has been changed somewhat for Season 2. I don't know what that means. Not looked into it. I don't really know overpower as a thing. I know that it's like a 3% chance of triggering. I don't know if they've changed that. But obviously I'll be learning more about that as the videos come along. At the moment, I just know that overpower is fucking overpowered because most streamers are doing overpowered builds for the game. So I'll be looking into that. Obviously, I can do a lot of overpowered stuff, especially when it comes to things like this when you remain in werebear form for at least 24 seconds. I don't like the idea of being in werebear form, though. I just don't. I just don't like being in it. I like to look at my character the way that my character is, and the werebear and werewolf forms just take away from that. I honestly do wish that they gave me an option to turn off the visual effect of werebear and werewolf, so that, you know, I could still look like a bear to everyone else, but I look like I do now to me. But either way, that's probably in the future. At the moment, whatever. I still haven't gone with an ultimate, specifically because I still think that all the ultimates for the Druid are shit. I don't think anyone's going to be able to change my opinion on that anytime soon. There's probably maybe one build out there that actually utilizes a, you know, and I guarantee it's Cataclysm, right? I know that there is something on here that allows you. There you go, straight away. The ultimate skills gain 20% cooldown reduction. 20%. That's how much of a large cooldown reduction percentage that they needed to slap onto this. 20%. But don't forget the ultimates last. They last for like, what is it? 7 seconds or whatever the fuck it is. And it's got like a 60-second cooldown. 20% still wouldn't even make a dip to that. So I don't really know if I can get like 30% cooldown reduction and then I have this 50%. That's still 30-second cooldown for the ultimate. 30 seconds. Like, that's a long time. 30 seconds is a long time to not be doing any damage. Because, like, you're waiting for it to come off cooldown. I don't know. I still can't justify the ults because their cooldowns are just way too big. We've gone with the reduced duration of crowd control and pairing effects. Incredibly important on a druid. Critical strike damage. Critical strike chance. Lucky hit, whatever, who cares? I didn't change this, did I? Yeah. This is the one I want. Because I recently got these unlocked. And every 20th kill will cause your next earth skill to overpower. 20th kill. Doesn't work on bosses. Again, like a lot of the things in this game, I guess they don't want you fighting bosses. It's kind of weird. But either way, that's that for now. That's just the update for day 2. I made it to level 31. I haven't been playing that much. I've had migraine headaches and personal life things that have happened that have distracted me. But yeah, the content. Well, I'm just going to rush to get to level 50 so that I can do the Cathedral of Light, so that I can do Hell Tides. But at the moment, yeah, just prattling around with this. I can't really do much else. Just try and level up, get my gear, get level 50. And I'll see you when I'm in the mood to make another video. Take care.